Maya, we can't hear you.
Welcome everyone to the Judicial Candidate Forum put on by the Northwest Suburban Bar Association and the League of Women Voters of Arlington Heights, Mount Prospect, and Buffalo Grove. My name is Maya Kosalovich, and I am leading the Criminal Justice Update for our league, and am also a member of our Emerging Leaders program. Founded in 1920, out of the suffragette movement giving women the right to vote, League of Women Voters is a nonpartisan organization that neither supports nor opposes candidates or parties for any office. The League's purpose is to promote political responsibility through the informed and active participation of citizens in government. Providing today's program and forum allows citizens to become better informed about the issues facing their community and to become better acquainted with the candidates running for office. We are happy to provide this service for the community. Thank you for attending, and thank you to Patty Shore-Caden, who is our interpreter for today's program. Please, remember to pin our interpreter if you need her services. To send in questions for the candidates, please text 224-306-9521 or email voter.lwvah@gmail.com. First, I would like to welcome Stephanie Garces Donay, who is with the NWSBA. She will speak to questions we all have about the judicial part of our ballot, including why you should make sure to vote for judges. What does retention mean and why exactly it is partisan? Ms. Donay?
Thank you, Maya, for the kind introduction. Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us for the Judicial Forum hosted by the League of Women Voters of Arlington Heights, Mount Prospect, and the Buffalo Grove chapter, in addition to the Northwest Suburban Bar Association. My name is Stephanie Garces Donay, and I'm an executive member of the Northwest Suburban Bar Association. This forum will address the judges that are on your 2020 ballot. Each judge will have an opportunity to speak to you very briefly and take a couple of questions from the audience as they come. Each judge that is running in the 12th and 13th Subcircuit, as well as the judges up for retention, have all been asked to attend this forum. The judicial candidates who are running in the 12th Subcircuit include Frank Difranco, a Republican judicial candidate, and the Honorable Judge Patricia M. Fallon, a Democratic judicial candidate. The 13th Subcircuit judicial candidates include Susan Groebner, a Democratic judicial candidate, and Gary Seyring, a Republican judicial candidate. The judges that are up for retention are a couple of the judges. The first one is the Honorable Judge James Pazonka, the Honorable Judge Pamela Loza, the Honorable Judge John Curry, and the Honorable Judge Megan Goldfish. As a way of background, the Illinois judicial selection process is very interesting. Historically, it has been conducted through partisan elections. This effectively means that judicial candidates run under a political party, which is then followed by a nonpartisan election process for the judicial candidates that are seeking retention so that they can be judges and serve in the coming years. Illinois is one of 11 states that holds partisan judicial elections. We are in the minority of the states that follow this election process. There is a primary general election that is held by which the judicial candidates run for judge and fill a vacancy. There's also a retention judicial election that takes place. This constitutes of judges who run again as incumbent judges. Judges who wish to run as incumbent judges do have to run and be fully vetted through a process, which I'll discuss in a little bit. But the part of running for retention as a judge is actually nonpartisan, which is quite different than when they run initially, where it is partisan. So it's nonpartisan judicial elections for judges up for retention. As voters, each judge and judicial candidate can be researched and evaluated in various ways. Voters can be guided in their votes by recommendations from the newspapers and by local bar associations. Bar associations are professional organizations in a network comprised of attorneys in the area. The most well-known bar associations to conduct judicial screenings and provide recommendations to the general public are the Chicago Bar Association, the Chicagoan Council of Lawyers, Alliance of Bar Association, which includes 12 bar associations that work together but publish independent results, and the Suburban Bar Coalition, just to name a few. There are many others, but those are just a few. These organizations provide a qualification rating for each judicial candidate who participates in their judicial screening. The Suburban Bar Coalition of Cook County, Illinois, known as the SBC, is comprised of the Northwest Suburban Bar Association, the North Suburban Bar Association, the West Suburban Bar Association, the Southwest Suburban Bar Association, and the South Suburban Bar Association, each of which operates in suburban Cook County. The members of these organizations are comprised of representatives from each of the suburban bar groups and collectively represent over 1,000 attorneys. I myself have participated in the Suburban Bar Coalition, and they do excellent work. Each 2 years, this group comes together to evaluate the retention judges for the November general election in an effort to do several things. The first is to educate voters. That is part of why we put this forum together, to educate the voters. The second thing that it does is it holds the judges accountable. The third thing that it does is that it improves bench and bar relations between the associations and the individuals on the bench. Well over 50 volunteers from the participating bar associations work together and spent over 500 hours investigating, interviewing, and evaluating the judges running for retention. The criteria falls within 4 categories of which they are evaluated. The first one is legal ability. The second one is judicial temperament. The third one is integrity. And the fourth is impartiality. Now, I did mention a couple of newspapers that you could also look to learn more about who they support. Now, the Chicago Sun-Times and the Chicago Tribune are 2 major newspapers. They don't provide full recommendations. However, they do provide endorsements. In order for judges to be retained, they need about 60% of the majority vote. There are several qualifications in order to run for judge. In order for a person to be on the bench and run as a judge, they must be a U.S. citizen, a circuit or county resident, and they must be licensed to practice in the state of Illinois, practice law in the state of Illinois. Nearly all judges do serve six terms. So voting is extremely important each election, which is why we put these forums together so that you do have more information before you go and cast your vote. The League of Women Voters and the NWSBA hope that by the time the forum is over, you will have been better informed of how to vote for your judicial candidates on your 2020 ballot. Thank you for your time and participation, and we look forward to your attendance.
All right, thank you so much, Ms. Garces-Donay, for that information, and thank you to you and the Northwest Suburban Bar Association for helping with the planning and logistics of today's program. Our first forum is for the 12th Subcircuit and includes Republican Frank Difranco and Democratic candidate Patricia M. Fallon. Our second forum is for the 13th Subcircuit and includes Republican candidate Gary Seyring and Democratic candidate Susan Groebner. After that, we will all hear from candidates up for retention. All of the candidates were contacted by email and phone prior today. The candidates have agreed to abide by the ground rules provided by the League of Women Voters. They are as follows. Candidates have flipped a coin to determine speaking order. The moderator will rotate this order during the forum for questions. Each candidate will have 1 minute for their introductions. Next, each candidate will have 1 minute to answer each question, and at the end, each candidate will have a 1-minute closing. League members will act as timers. Candidates will be given a 30-second and 15-second warning so we ask the candidates to quickly complete their thoughts before they see the stop card. Time limits will be enforced out of respect for all candidates. Questions will be provided by the audience. Each question will be answered by all candidates, so please, audience, ask questions that pertain to all. Again, we only use questions which can be answered by all candidates. Again, please send questions to 224-306-9521 or email voter.lwvah@gmail.com. Questions will be reviewed by League volunteers for clarity, appropriateness, and to avoid duplication. Candidates have been asked to not interrupt one another. The moderator will repeat a question if asked. The candidates are to speak to the audience. Because of time constraints, we are limiting questions to 4. I'd like to introduce our moderator for today's event, Lucy Nisi, a board member of our league. Lucy is not yet old enough to vote and therefore eligible to moderate today's forum.
Hi, thank you so much for that introduction, Maya. We will now begin our candidate forum. We ask that you bear with us and note that technology is what it is, and we are all working our best to ensure that this runs as smoothly as possible. Right now, we are waiting for our timer, so just an example. We're going to be really patient today, though, and I thank all of you for being here. With me on screen, we have our candidates for the 12th Subcircuit Court, our ASL interpreter, Patty Shore-Caden, who you can pin if you need her services, and our timer, League Board member Connie Weissman. I would like to note that the Q&A chat down below has been disabled for all attendees, so if you would like to submit a question for the candidates, please text this number, 224-306-9521, or email voter.lwvah@gmail.com. Okay, we will start this forum.
Because we're still waiting. This is Heidi Graham, president of the League of Women Voters. I apologize for interrupting. Because we are waiting for, we're a little ahead of schedule. And so we're waiting for our first set of candidates to come on screen. We had told them that they could go off screen and kind of go away and not have to wait around. So, okay, here is Patricia Fallon, and here we are, Mr. Defranco. Okay, thank you so much. All right, I will be quiet now.
Thank you. Okay, we'll move forward. We will now start this forum with candidate Difranco, candidate for the 12th Subcircuit Court. The candidates have both agreed to abide by the rules set forth prior to this forum. They will each present a 1-minute introductory statement. The order to start was determined by coin toss. The candidate who opens first will be the last to respond in closing. Then, questions obtained from the audience and vetted by our volunteers will be asked, and each candidate will have 1 minute to respond in alternating order. Each question will be answered by all candidates, so please, audience, ask questions that pertain to all. Again, we only use questions which can be answered by all candidates. Closing statements will be 1 minute. League of Women Voters members will keep time, and candidates, I will ask you to please adhere to the time limits. Candidates, please notice the timer. When you see the stop sign, you may finish your sentence. I'm going to find and pin the timer. Mrs. Graham, is the timer on right now? Oh, I see you now. Thank you.
And do both candidates see the timer?
Yes.
Yes, okay.
Thank you so much. So, candidate Defranco, you are going to open first. Take it away.
It's a privilege and honor to speak with you tonight. I'm Frank Difranco. I have been endorsed by the Chicago Tribune, law enforcement, labor, and over 20 bipartisan judges, including Kay Hanlon, whose vacancy I'm running for. I began my legal career at Corbo and Demetrio, working on personal injury cases. I then went to the state's attorney's office and prosecuted over 1,000 cases from DUIs to murders. In private practice, I have successfully defended over 1,000 criminal cases. I prosecuted plaintiffs' personal injury cases with jury verdicts totaling over $20 million, notably $1.5 million for a woman who was sexually assaulted, $5 million for the death of a 15-year-old boy, $11 million for a police misconduct case. I then successfully defended those verdicts in post-trial motions and appeals. I have done pro bono work over the last 20 years and continue to do pro bono work for the ARC, Standing Tall, and over 100 men and women in need. Thanks for giving me this opportunity to address you.
Thank you so much. Candidate Fallon, you can now open.
Good evening. I am Judge Patricia Fallon. I want to thank the League of Women Voters and the Northwest Suburban Bar Association for having this panel and allowing me to speak. I'm very happy to see everyone tonight. I am the appointed judge in this seat. I was appointed by the Illinois Supreme Court in July of 2019 to fill a vacancy. I was appointed by unanimous decision of the court, and it has been a high honor for me to carry my public service record to the bench. I am a 19-year litigator, the majority of my career spent in the Cook County State's Attorney's Office on the civil side of the office in the labor and employment litigation unit. We litigated cases in both federal court and state court and also handled all of our appellate work in-house, and I was able to argue before both the Illinois First District and the Cook County, the 7th Circuit U.S. Court of Appeals. It has been, again, a high honor to carry my public service record onto the bench. I am very excited to be here tonight to help to educate voters on the campaign as well as the race for the 12th Subcircuit. Thank you.
Thank you so much. For our first question, candidate Fallon will start. And the first question submitted by the audience is, how do you describe your approach to the law? Take it away.
My approach to the law is simple, and since becoming a judge, I have been able to hone my approach, which is to listen to the parties that appear before me and to simply apply the law to the facts of the case very carefully. I am very cognizant of the responsibility that is on my shoulders, and I take this responsibility very seriously. I treat all of the parties that appear before me with respect, and I try my very best to listen, which is much different than being an attorney, where you're typically, as a litigator, advocating for one side or the other and advocating for your client. Now I am charged with listening intently and making sure that I am applying the law equitably, following the law in all cases, and being cognizant of what has been put before the court in every case.
Thank you so much. Candidate Difranco.
I think the most important thing to be able to do is to analyze and articulate. You need to go over the facts of a case, determine the applicable law, and then apply that law to the case. So I think it is very important to be a good listener. I think it's very important to be a good record keeper and to be able to weigh the credibility of the evidence as it comes in. And of course, the judge is the gatekeeper. The gatekeeper of the evidence is the most important thing. You have to make sure that only admissible evidence comes into a case and that the judge only considers that admissible evidence, because too many times people will present evidence that will not have a proper foundation and it shouldn't be considered by the court, and it can be more prejudiced than probative. And therefore, I think the most important thing is to be the gatekeeper and properly analyze and articulate based upon the law.
Thank you so much. Candidate Defranco, you will open the next question, which is, should there be limits on the amount of money a judicial candidate can raise and or spend on an election? Why or why not?
Well, I guess it depends on the election. I don't think that judicial limits are necessary. There already are judicial limits in place that a candidate can only accept $5,500 from one individual unless they are self-financed. So no, I don't think that's been an issue in today's judicial races. I think that an individual that's able to raise more money and has that backing, that it's important that that individual can use that backing to finance their campaign.
Thank you so much. Candidate Fallon.
Thank you. I don't share Mr. Defranco's position related to this question. I do think that there should be some limits in judicial races. While it is important to have supporters and have individuals and organizations that are willing to back you, and I think every candidate needs that in a county like Cook County that is so vast and large, I think it can detract from the actual candidates if one person is able to have unlimited spending. And it can take away from the heart of the important issue, which is your qualifications for the bench. Are you qualified to be a judge? Do you have the right temperament to be a judge? How have the bar associations rated you, which is a very time-consuming and detailed process that is followed by all the bar associations. And I think that that's where the focus should be, on qualifications and temperament and suitability for the bench, and excessive spending really does detract from those important issues.
Thank you. Candidate Fallon, you will be next. For this question, how much should political affiliation matter in choosing between candidates?
Thank you. I don't think that political affiliation should matter at all in choosing candidates. To run in Cook County, it is very typical and accepted practice to align yourself with a party and to have that backing when you run, again, for some of the reasons I've already stated, the size of the county and the very large undertaking of running for judge. However, your partisan affiliation should have no bearing on your decision-making as a judge. You should be listening to the facts and the evidence and following the law. And whatever your affiliations are, your party affiliations, should not accompany you onto the bench. They should not be part of your decision-making when you are analyzing cases and making decisions and fulfilling the great responsibility that has been put on your shoulders by the citizens and the voters of Cook County.
Thank you. Candidate Difranco.
Of course, political affiliations should not come into play. They should be nonpartisan, but they're not. And the fact of the matter is, in my 12 subcircuit, there's 20 judicial races and there's only one contested race because it's impossible to beat the party, to beat the machine. So there's 20 uncontested races. They're all Democrat, 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 Democrat. Then you come to my race and you have Democrat and Republican, the only contested race. Why is that? Why do you think that is? That's the power of the party, the machine, the Chicago politics that are so powerful. The only way a Republican or anyone that's not a Democrat has any chance of winning an election is in a subcircuit. And even now it becomes more difficult and more difficult because Chicago's bringing their politics to the suburbs. And Fallon says that she doesn't believe in it, but her whole basis of running is to tell people that I support Trump and that's why they shouldn't vote for me, which is against exactly what she said, political affiliations.
Okay, thank you so much. We said we were going to ask 4 questions, so we're going to ask one more. And of the ones that we have, the most unique of the last ones is, what is the hardest thing to do as a judge that you did not face before as an attorney? Defranco, you will begin.
I think the hardest challenge for a judge is to put aside their political affiliations, to put aside their biases, to put aside their prejudice, because we all have them. We all have them. We might not try to realize we do, but we do. So for a judge to be a great judge, the judge has to be completely impartial. The judge has to look at everybody the same. And the judge can't lean one way or the other because of somebody's political affiliation, because of their ethnicity, because of their religion, or any other reason. So I think that that's one of the more difficult things that has to be done because we all have racial biases and we all have prejudice in ourselves. It's normal. So I think that that's what the greatest leap is, to set all that aside, to be a fair and impartial judge and decide a case on the facts and for no other basis than the facts.
Thank you. Candidate Fallon.
Thank you. This is a question that I've been asked before, as I am the sitting judge in this seat and I've been on the bench for over a year. And I will say that the biggest adjustment from going from a litigator accustomed to arguing my position on behalf of one client in front of the bench to now being on the bench is to be able to listen intently to the parties that appear before you and the attorneys that appear before you, to not bring your own interpretation or your own feelings into the case, and to close your mouth and open your ears and listen and make sure that you are applying the law adequately and accurately to the facts and the evidence that are properly before the court. it has been a big learning curve to take on this role, and it has been a tremendous learning experience to be in this position and have this responsibility. I welcome it. I love the position, and I am so proud to be able to continue my public service record on behalf of the citizens of Cook County, and now take on the role of listener and adjudicator over these cases. Thank you.
Thank you so much to both candidates for your participation today, and I hope that our audience was able to learn something from your presentations. Mrs. Graham, the League of Women Voters president, might jump on right about now. I believe we're waiting for some people. So I will see if she comes on. Okay, before we do that, both candidates will have their closing statements. I'm sorry for that confusion. Because candidate Difranco opened first, candidate Fallon will begin the closing statement first, and you have 1 minute.
Thank you. I just want to thank you for allowing me to be a part of this panel this evening. I hope people found it useful and learned a little something about one of the 2 contested races, which is the 12th Subcircuit race. I would encourage everyone to review closely the qualifications of the candidate, to review the Bar Association ratings. I am the only candidate in the race with 2 highly recommended Bar Association ratings from the Alliance, and I'm also the only candidate in the race with judicial experience. I would also note that the Chicago Bar Association made specific note of not only my trial experience, my knowledge of the law, but also my temperament and suitability for the bench. I think it's very important for the voters to be educated, which is why this panel is so very useful, so that they know who they're voting for. I would also encourage everyone to vote down ballot and make sure that you make a selection for every judge race, and the 12th Subcircuit race will be the last race on your ballot if you are in fact a voter in the 12th Subcircuit. I thank you again for your time, and I hope everyone has a wonderful evening. Thank you.
Thank you, candidate Difranco.
Judges should come to the bench at the end of their careers and after making significant contributions to the legal professions. Judges should have lots and lots of trial experience that ensures knowledge of the law, a firm grasp of evidence, and courtroom procedures. A judge should love the law and desire to help others. My life and legal history have prepared me for the position of judge. I am at the point in my career with over 30 years of litigation experience that I am highly qualified to serve. I will be effective as a judge and can make a positive difference in our court system. I have had a successful legal career making significant contributions to the profession. I am ready for the honor and responsibility to move to what I believe will be the pinnacle of my career and a chance to continue to back to a profession I love. Becoming a judge will come as a pay cut to me, not a pay raise. Experience, I'm the Tribune endorsed candidate. I was endorsed by the Tribune because I have more experience. You can't even compare the 2 experience. Thank you. Please vote for Frank Difranco.
Thank you, both candidates, for your participation right now. Right now, we are going to ask that candidate Seyring and Groebner could come up on video. Let's see if that. Yes. Look at that. Oh, awesome. Thank you so much. Okay. I would like to remind the audience right now that if they have questions for the coming forum, that they can send them to 224-306-9521 or send an email with a question to voter.lwvah@gmail.com. Next, we will have the candidates for the 13th Subcircuit Court, Gary Seyring and Susan Groebner. We will start this forum with candidate Siren. The candidates have agreed to abide by the rules set forth prior to this forum. They will each present a 1-minute introductory statement. The order to start was determined by coin toss. The candidate who opens first will be the last to respond in closing. Then, questions obtained from the audience and vetted by our volunteers will be asked, and each candidate will have 1 minute to respond in alternating order. Each question will be answered by all candidates, so please, audience, ask a question that pertains to all. Again, we only use questions which can be answered by all candidates. Closing statements will be 1 minute. League of Women Voters members will keep time, and candidates, I will ask you to please adhere to the time limits. You can notice the timer and pin her video. When you see the stop sign, you may finish your sentence. All right, today we are going to open with candidate Seyring.
At this point, I can't see the timer. Oh, there we go.
Okay. If you're ready, you may start your opening statement.
Good evening. Thank you for the opportunity to participate in the forum this evening. I want to thank the League and the Northwest Suburban Bar for this opportunity. My name is Gary Seyring, and I'm a candidate for the judge in the 13th Subcircuit. Having been an attorney for 42 years, with a practice that serves clients in the Northwest suburbs, has allowed me to gain a wealth of legal experience. I am proud to have represented litigation clients at the county, state, and federal levels. Based on my legal experience, temperament, and ethics, all of the bar associations have found me qualified or recommended to serve as a circuit court judge, including the Women's Bar Association of Illinois that found me recommended, which is their highest rating. In addition, I've done a lot of volunteer work in many civic and local organizations, which I'll be happy to share with you if given the opportunity later in this forum. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Candidate Groebner, your opening statement.
Good evening, everyone. Again, I'd like to thank everyone for this opportunity to speak to you this evening. My name is Suzanne Groebner, and I'm the Democrat nominee for Circuit Court Judge of the 13th Subcircuit. I'm running for the opportunity to serve the citizens of Cook County. I've been a prosecutor with the Cook County State's Attorney's Office and the McHenry County State's Attorney's Office for the past 19 years. I've represented victims of all crimes, including murders, sex assaults, gang violence, child abuse, property crimes, including identity thefts involving seniors, and hundreds of trials before both judges and juries. I have the practical knowledge of the law necessary to fulfill the role of judge based on my daily work in a courtroom. I have the passion, commitment, character, and integrity to listen impartially and apply the law without prejudice. I am the member of the same community as you. I'm a working mom raising my 3 children, ages 13, 11, and 8. I have been found qualified and recommended by major bar associations and endorsed by the Chicago Tribune. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We're going to start with our first question, and candidate Groebner will answer first. The question is, each of you has spent more than $300,000 trying to be elected as judge. Do you think that there is a better way to finance campaigns? Is it good for democracy for that much money to be spent on a sub-circuit judicial race?
Well, Lucy, in answering that question, the problem with the judicial races is that there isn't a big forum to get your name out there for people to know who you are. You're kind of depending on the voters to go and look you up and look up your qualifications. So it's necessary to spend this type of money to get your name out there, to get the name recognition, to have people know who you are and what you're about. And unfortunately, that does demand that you spend money on a campaign. Whether there's a better way to do it, I do not know, but I do know that it's necessary for the voters to have all the information about you in order to make an informed decision as to who they're going to vote for.
Thank you. Candidate Seyring.
Having been in this situation, yes, I wish there was a better way. As I like to say from time to time, I'm spending my children's inheritance. Difference is that I've run more than once. It's very difficult to keep up with a candidate whose husband continues to throw money, at this point over $105,000. And I would hope that we could get the word out to the voters in some other way so that it doesn't depend on the person's own self-financing, because I think that would exclude a lot of people in the future. I believe I have a lot to offer. My experience in the community, my volunteer work has helped me raise the money, but nonetheless, yes, it's getting very costly to run for a circuit court judge.
Thank you so much. Candidate Seyring, you will answer the next question first. The question is, please describe one situation where you have experienced an ethical dilemma and how you solved it.
Well, what immediately comes to mind is I was called upon to help an individual purchase a home. It came to light that the individual may have created some problems in a bankruptcy that I did not handle, that may have been perceived as a, perhaps a fraud on the court. Upon learning this issue, I immediately withdrew representation. I would not continue in something as simple as the purchase of a house, because I thought it definitely had some ethical implications.
Thank you so much. Candidate Groebner.
I have not personally myself been involved in an ethical dilemma, but I have been involved where a judge that I have appeared before was involved in an ethical dilemma that was a part of a case that I was involved in. And this was something that was serious and something that had to be dealt with not only with my supervisors, but with that judge's supervisor. And I felt that I dealt with it in the proper way. I informed my supervisor directly of what the ethical dilemma was, and we followed the proper channels to make this dilemma known to who it had to be known to. I believe that even though you become friendly with judges and other attorneys that you work with, you always have your canon of ethics behind you, and you always have to stand on that first, no matter what your situation is with others involved in the situation.
Thank you so much. This next question, which is, what do you perceive as the greatest obstacles to justice, will be answered by candidate Groebner first.
The greatest obstacles to justice is what is true justice in a case. And through my time as being a prosecutor, I've learned that justice isn't just getting convictions and sending people to jail. Justice is making victims whole and helping defendants. And I've learned through my time as a prosecutor that with defendants, sometimes in drug cases and other types of cases, they don't only need to go to jail. Sometimes they need help with drug addiction problems and mental health addiction or mental health problems. And these are things that the courts are starting to recognize and starting to address. And the hope that maybe the criminal justice revolving door will stop. So my job as a prosecutor is to make victims whole, but it's also to help defendants so that I don't keep seeing them appear before me.
Thank you so much. Our last question before closing for tonight will be answered by, oh, I'm so sorry. Candidate Siren, please answer the question.
Well, thank you. Coming from the civil side of things, I think my perspective is that a big obstacle to obtaining justice, if you will, is just the sheer cost of litigation. I represent individuals, everyday people from all walks of life. And simple matters just become so time intensive in the courthouse that it's very difficult for litigants to feel that they've come away from the system due to continuous delays and just the cost. There has to be a better way to streamline things, to give people sense, the litigants, the sense that once they are completed with the system, that they had a fair and impartial hearing.
Thank you so much for answering. And once again, I'm very sorry for the mix-up. The last question for tonight, which is, how do you prepare yourself to handle cases involving areas of law or facts of which you are not familiar, will be answered by candidate Seyring first.
A very good question. I've always taken the approach to study hard. If it's an area that I am unfamiliar with, I will hit the books. I will contact colleagues. and only after I am confident that I can adequately and properly represent the client will I undertake the engagement. But it takes a lot of hard work. You cannot leave any stone unturned. I also take the approach that I do not know everything. I never take the view that I know more than my opponent. I always look and play point and counterpoint and spend a lot of hours, as my wife I'm sure will attest to, being here at the office late many nights. So it's all about a lot of hard work.
Thank you so much. Candidate Groebner.
Well, fortunately, in my time in the state's attorney's office, I have had to learn different areas of law over and over again. And every new assignment that I received was a new area of law that I was not familiar with. And therefore, I had to hit the books and read the law and research the law and make sure that what I was practicing in the courtroom was proper. And I will move that right into my judicial career. If I get into an area of civil law, I will study it. I will know it backwards and forwards, and I will not disappoint the people of Cook County.
Thank you so much. We're now ready for closing statements. And because candidate Siren went first for opening statements, candidate Suzanne Groebner will go first. And I'm sorry for the mispronunciation of your name at the beginning. Take it away.
Thank you again for everyone for joining tonight and learning more about the judicial candidates. This is a very good opportunity for the voters to have. And again, I just want to reiterate that I have been a servant of Cook County for my entire career, and that I've represented the people of Cook County in the best way that I know. And I will just move that on into my judicial career. I have been found recommended by major bar associations. I have received the Chicago Tribune endorsement. And I have still been in the courtroom every day, even during this pandemic, because I know that justice doesn't stop just because a sickness comes about. I have been in court representing victims. I've been in court doing jury trials continuously through this time. And I will never stop working for the people of this community.
Thank you so much. Candidate Siren.
Well, once again, I'd like to thank the League and the Northwest Suburban Bar for this opportunity. I did not get the opportunity in my opening to also respond on how I have been working in the community. I'm particularly proud of my work in youth sports. From 1995 to 99, I headed the local soccer association that during my tenure, the participation of young girls rose to the same level as that of the boys. I have the experience. I have 42 years of experience in civil law. I also bring to the bench, which is almost unheard of, is the fact that in my prior career, I was also a CPA. I have that training and that experience that will be beneficial in many of the courtrooms. 100% of the bar associations have found me qualified. 92% have found my opponent. I must say I'm perplexed by the Chicago Tribune's endorsement of my opponent. When we ran in the Republican primary, when she ran as a Republican in 2018, the Chicago Tribune endorsed me over her. Only thing that's changed is she's now a Democrat.
Candidate Seyring, your time is up. Thank you so much to both candidates for being involved today and for helping the audience make an informed decision for the election. Now we are going to move into the candidates that are up for retention. If all of those candidates could please come up on screen. We're going to give a minute for them to come up.
Trying to get on.
Okay, all good. Thank you so much.
I can't get on either.
This is how Zoom court is every day.
Judge, Connie,
Okay, it looks like we have two right now. The button to press is start video on the bottom left.
there we go. Judge Piezonka here.
Mine was, this is Judge Loza.
Okay.
The active speaker X'd me out. Oh, now they've asked me to start. Okay. There I am. Okay, thank you.
Okay. I think we have most everybody.
Yes,
Okay.
apologies. This is Heidi Graham. Again, that was me. Apologies that I had stopped your video. We are so honored to be able to have our programs interpreted for the hearing impaired, and it makes it easier with the fewest number of videos going. So there you go. Thank you so much. Back to Lucy.
Thank you. Finally, we have with us candidates that are up for retention. They have each been given 3 minutes to speak. There will not be a Q&A session for this portion. All right. We will begin with John Michael Alegretti. If you want to begin your 3 minutes.
I would love to. Well, first of all, a hearty thank you to the League of Women Voters and the Northwest Suburban Bar Association. I have to tell you, this is one of the most important things that the League and the Northwest Bar Association can do. To vet and make sure that you have good judges is something that it means so much, because you can't have justice. You can't have good outcomes for people unless you vet the judges. You don't want a bad judge. And here's the difference between what you've seen and now what you get with retention. Retention, you've had over 6 years, generally, to look and review. So it's not a matter of what the judges says about themselves, right? It's what the evaluators and the people that come to court say. I've been highly recommended by the Northwest Bar Association and every bar association. But I'm going to tell you what the Chicago Council of Lawyers says, because I could say great things about me. I'm one of 9 children. So we've learned to be our own cheerleader. But what do other people say about me? So the Chicago Council of Lawyers says that Judge Alegretti is praised for his substantive knowledge of the law, his patience in managing a call that includes a substantial number of litigants that are unrepresented by legal counsel. He is considered to have a very calm demeanor and is reported to treat all litigants fairly and with respect. The council finds him qualified for retention. Why am I reading the words of others? Because in a retention contest, it's what others say, because you've had the opportunity. People have seen you work for 6 years. So it's not a matter of what I say about myself. And I say this about my colleagues also. I know each of my colleagues here today, Judge Loza, Judge Pazonka, Judge Goldish, and Judge Curry, also have wonderful, wonderful ratings. And I've seen them and I've experienced them and I've worked with them. They are all good judges. These are judges you want to keep on the bench. These are judges you know will do the right thing, will administer justice, will listen, will be fair to all litigants, not just the litigants that are represented by attorneys. One of the biggest challenges we have in Cook County is we have many litigants who are not represented. And both myself and all these other judges that are here today have demonstrated for 6 years or more that they can do it, that they can do it well. And I believe there's a total of 19 bar associations that are diverse, including the Chicago Council of the Legal, I apologize, the Black Women's Lawyers Association and the Women's Bar Associations all found us qualified. Why? Because we know how to do the job, and we've earned your trust. So I'm asking you to vote for me, number 239 on the ballot. Thank you. I'm sorry, I'm dyslexic sometimes. Number 293, we want to write that down properly. 293.
We're somewhere in another room.
Thank you very much, everyone.
No,
Thank
but
you
if
for
you're
your
in
time.
another room, oh, I see.
Thank you. Thank you. Up next, we will have Judge Curry for 3 minutes, and we had a little bit of background noise, so I would just like to remind anyone who's not speaking to be on mute. Thank you so much, and Judge Curry, take it away.
Thank you very much for this opportunity. Thank you, Lucy and Heidi, and the League of Women Voters and the Northwest Suburban Bar Association, one of the bar associations I've been happy to be a member of for many years. My name is John Curry. I've served as a circuit court judge for 6 years. I am currently assigned to the Law Division of the Circuit Court of Cook County, in which position I hear jury trials for specialized matters such as land condemnation or eminent domain. In my prior assignments, I've served in the traffic court. I've presided over DUI cases. I've handled mortgage foreclosure cases and a wide variety of civil cases. I decided to run for retention, and I'm asking for the support of Cook County voters for that. I was found qualified to serve as a judge by all 19 of the 19 bar associations in the Chicago area that evaluated judges. I am also endorsed by both the Democratic Party and the Republican Party of Cook County. I'm very humbled that the Illinois State Bar Association, in rating me as qualified, specifically noted that I was a judge of, quote, high integrity. I'm very honored to have had that designation, and I want you to know I work every day to achieve that goal in presiding as a judge. Before I was a judge, I was with the United States Department of Justice in Washington. I was an assistant attorney general for the state of Illinois. I'm a graduate of Northwestern University and Vanderbilt University School of Law. I am serving with approximately 60 other judges who are running for retention, and I counsel all of you to look on our website. It's cookcountyjudges.org. Again, cookcountyjudges, all one word, .org. There you can find more about my background and of all the other judges who are on this Zoom meeting, as well as the other 60 judges who are up for retention. Overwhelmingly, we've been found qualified by all the bar associations. If you want good, able, and dedicated judges to continue to serve, I ask that you do your research. I hope I have your support. I'm number 307 on the ballot, and that's a long ballot, so please remember to get all the way down to vote. And I appreciate the time given today, and have a great evening, everyone.
Thank you so much. Up next, we have Judge Goldish. You will have 3 minutes to speak.
Great. I know I was called Judge Goldfish at the beginning. That's fine. If that's how you remember me. That's great. Thanks for having us speak here tonight. I am thrilled to be here. The Northwest Suburban Bar Association is near and dear to my heart. I am going to be the president of the North Suburban Bar Association, getting sworn in on Wednesday. And you hear us all talking about these evaluations and why they matter so much. So as anyone who has sat on the Northwest Suburban Bar Coalition can tell you, the reason these are important when we keep talking about all of our evaluations is because these bar associations spend hours going through applications and going through interviews. They speak to people who have lawyers who've appeared in front of you. They speak to people who know you for your character, and they come up with an evaluation. And that's why I think it's really important in organizations such as this who really look at the evaluation results and really look at the qualifications and making a determination. All of the judges that you see here tonight have been found 100% qualified by every single one of these bar associations. And that's a huge deal. I personally was found highly qualified by the Suburban Bar Coalition, which obviously is very meaningful to me based on the position that I am due to hold. I sit in the domestic violence courthouse, and it has been extremely busy during COVID. There's been an increase in sales of liquor at the same time, whether they're related, who knows, but it is certainly a busy courthouse, and it is a courthouse where I feel that justice is prevailing on a daily basis, that both victims and accused get a fair shake in front of the judges who sit there, including me. To tell you about myself, I live in the north suburbs, and I grew up in the north suburbs. I'm a graduate of Niles West High School. I am a graduate of the University of Illinois in Champaign-Urbana and Northwestern University Law School. I am currently on their faculty. I teach there. I was recently appointed to the Kent faculty as well. I am a theater nerd. I am a graduate of the Second City Conservatory. Please don't hold it against them that I have not at all been funny during this presentation, but I am very happy to be here. I think it's very important that you evaluate your judges. I want to repeat the website that my colleague Judge Curry said. The cookcountyjudges.org has everyone's biography. And the other one, I know that there have been other evaluations that have been thrown around. Go to voteforjudges.org because voteforjudges.org has everyone's evaluations on there. And it also gives you a link and you can see why certain bar associations found the way they did and as well as certain comments. So whether it's Goldfish or Goldish, as long as you vote yes, that's fine. I'm at 309. Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you so much. Up next, we have Judge Loza. You will have 3 minutes to speak.
Well, thank you very much, and thank you for the Northwest Suburban Bar Association, which I've been a member for more years than I can count practically, and to the League of Women Voters for having me here today. 12 years ago, I was fortunate enough to be elected by the 12th Subcircuit. It was a bitterly contested election. You supported me then. 6 years ago, I ran for retention. 6 years ago, I was fortunate to be well recommended by the Suburban Coalition, and I was also well qualified by the Chicago Council of Lawyers. This year, 6 years have passed quickly. You wouldn't believe how quickly they pass. And now I've been, again, well recommended by the Suburban Bar Association Coalition, and only one of 7 judges out of the 60 to be found well qualified by the Chicago Council of Lawyers. And I've been found qualified by every single other bar association. So the Chicago Council of Lawyers, and it's a big honor to be found well qualified by both the Suburban and the Bar and the Chicago Council of Lawyers, has said that Judge Loza has very good legal ability and is described as being very knowledgeable about the law. She is praised for her courtroom temperament skills and for her being respectful to all parties. And she has participated in major efforts about bringing about systemic reform to the Domestic Relations Division. And during the past 6 years, I was supervising judge of the Parentage Child Support Enforcement Department of the Domestic Relations Division. And we handled approximately 80,000 cases a year. But I felt that it was unfair that they were in the basement of the Daly Center. So along with Judge Dickler and many hard work, and thanks to Chief Evans, we've changed that and we've integrated the entire Paternity Child Support Enforcement Department into the Domestic Relations Division. It's an honor to serve. I'm looking forward to doing it for another 6 years, and I thank you for your time. My ballot number is 263, and please go down ballot and vote for all qualified judges. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Our last judge for the evening will be Judge James Pazonka. I hope I pronounced that correctly. You have 3 minutes to speak.
All right, thank you very much, Lucy, and thank you, Heidi, for having us today, all the retention judges and the judges. I've been elected 6 years ago in the 12th Subcircuit, lived in Glenview for the last 30 years locally here. My assignment is in Rolling Meadows, the Rolling Meadows Courthouse. I've been there for the last 5 years out of the 6 years. I'm currently in the civil division. I do a jury trial, civil jury trials, and I do all different types of civil cases, evictions, collections. Prior to that, I did some criminal cases in the Rolling Meadows Courthouse, and I did paternity call for 4 years in the Rolling Meadows Courthouse for a couple days a week, which was a very tough assignment, but I enjoyed it. I enjoyed helping out children and families, and making sure that the children are taken care of. In any event, I've been approved by all the bar associations The Suburban Coalition find me highly recommended by all 4 of the bar associations in the Suburban Coalition. Also, it's very important to vote for the retention judges. And like Judge Loza said, the qualified judges, we've all been found qualified, and we're all hardworking judges, and we need to be retained. I would appreciate that you investigate and research all of our credentials. You'll be happy to see that we're all found qualified. Also, in my courtroom, I believe in inclusion and a welcoming environment in my courtroom. Nobody likes to go to court. I try to make people feel comfortable. I want to give them a fair shake, a fair trial, and dispense equal justice to all the litigants and treat the attorneys with respect. I've been an attorney for 37 years and the last 6 years as a judge. So I bring all the experiences from my legal practices and the last 6 years of being a judge to the bench. I'd like to continue to do that. My goal is to be retained for the next 6 years and to serve the community, to serve the people, and provide competent, honest, ethical service to all litigants and their attorneys with equal justice to all of them, and to perform my duties in a fair, unbiased, and independent and effective manner. Nowadays, things are very tough. We have to be independent. We have to listen to the facts of the cases, and we have to apply the law, and we cannot let anything interfere with our independence as judges. Thank you for your participation today. I know this is a time-consuming effort for you all. Everybody's time is valuable, and you've all volunteered your time. And I would appreciate your vote on November 3rd. And being the last judge to speak today, I'm almost at the bottom of the ballot. My number is number 323. So I'm 3rd from the bottom. So please take your time, investigate, research the judges. We're all qualified, and consider a vote for all of us. And number 323 for me. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Mrs. Graham is going to speak briefly, and then we are going to move to Q&A.
Good evening. Eventually, I will break Lucy of the habit of calling me Mrs. Graham and making me feel older than I already do. So because we have run way ahead of schedule, and we do have questions from the audience, we would like to give retention judges an opportunity to answer those questions. Though we have not sent you any rules in advance. So if I could get a verbal acceptance of rules, I would appreciate it. And then Judge Pazonka has, and that's his opportunity to leave. But if you would prefer to leave, that's totally up to you, because this was not something that we had planned. But what we thought is we would ask these 4 questions, we would alternate you answering them, and but everybody would have an opportunity to answer the exact same question, and you would have 30 seconds to answer, and that's how we work the time. Does everyone agree?
Yes.
Sure.
Yes, awesome.
Yes.
Okay, I will turn this back over to Lucy. Thank you.
Awesome, thank you. We are going to sort of go in a rotational alphabetical order, so we'll have a different first speaker for each question. This first time, our first speaker will be Judge Curry. The first question is, what types of issues should cause a citizen to vote against retaining a judge?
Well, I think anything that has occurred during that person's judicial service that calls into question their integrity as a judge, and that would include their ethics, their impartiality, their whether they're discriminatory. So if there's something really bad that is known about that judge and confirmed to have occurred, that would, I think, would be good cause to vote no for a judge.
Thank you. Next up, we will have Judge Goldish.
I echo what my colleague, Judge Curry, said. I would add to that also is that the knowledge of the law is certainly something that should come into play in the experience of the judge, as well as everyone and how the litigants who appear in front of that judge on both sides are treated. Everyone should be treated fairly and respectfully, and everyone should have access to justice. And if there is a judge who is not treating the litigants appropriately or in a way that does allow them access, that was when there should be a vote no, which, by the way, is not me.
Thank you. Next up, we will have Judge Loza.
I think it's absolutely important for a judge to have integrity and knowledge of the law. I think that sometimes judges are castigated maybe because they don't like, somebody doesn't like the decision, but I always said when I was going to be a judge, and now I am a judge, that I will make the hard decision. And a judge has to follow the law. Even though personally you may not want to and it may pain you to do so, you have to be honest to the law and you have to follow the law. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we will have Judge Alegretti.
Well, I just so I understand, the question is what things you should look at where you would not retain a judge. And I think that the good thing about seeing our records, as we've stressed, we've all been highly rated. And one of the things when you rate, you look at what is a judge's temperament? What is the knowledge? Are they objective? Do they actually get to court on time? Believe it or not, you should demand that from a judge, right? Respect your time. Respect the people that come into court. Be humble. Appreciate what a great and a responsible job you have. And I think we all do that here.
Thank you so much. We will move to our second question. And our first speaker, sorry? I thought one of our judges has left. Is that not true? Oh, sorry, your name disappeared for a second. Please, Judge Pizzati, take it away.
As far as I think the best indicators that not retain a judge would be to really evaluate the Bar Association ratings. I think it's important because they spend a lot of time to investigate us all. They spend time to interview us. They spend time to make their evaluation. And I think if they raise an issue and it's publicly, disseminated, then that's a good indicator as to whether you should vote yes or no to retain a judge.
Thank you. And sorry for the mix-up. I thought you had left the Zoom call. All right, for the next question, our first speaker will be Judge Goldish. And the question is, please tell us about a time you regretted a decision that you made on the bench.
For me.
I don't know that I necessarily regretted a decision, but going off of what my colleague Judge Loza had said, there are certain times where you have to follow the law. And the standard isn't, well, I'm pretty sure this person did it. The standard is, was the case proven beyond a reasonable doubt? So sometimes that is a stomach churning feeling that a burden wasn't proved, but you have to follow the law. So I don't know that if it's necessarily something that I've regretted, because I always follow the law. So I'm sorry, my time's up.
Thank you. Our next speaker for this question will be Judge Loza.
There are times I've never regretted making a decision. I have to ditto what Judge Goldish says, but there are times when it has pained me. There are times on a Friday evening where I've sat on my patio and cried that I had to make the decision, And a very wise judge who's since passed has said to me, Pam, you cannot fix the world. And sometimes you have to make that hard decision. And sometimes you go to bed crying and you think about it all the time. Thank you.
Thank you. Judge Pazonka.
Yes, again, I don't believe I've regretted making a decision. That's what we're there for, to be a judge and make a decision. I tell litigants all the time, try to settle your disputes amongst yourself, because if I have to make a decision, somebody's not going to be happy. Somebody's going to win and somebody's going to lose. But I really take the time and effort to make sure I follow the law and make the right decision. And sometimes it's tough, but I have to make that decision, and I don't regret it because I follow the law and I make those decisions. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we will have Judge Alegretti.
I'd like to say that the word regret is challenging, because what I try to do, and I think most judges try to do, is we try to get people to resolve cases. When you come into my room, it's a civil room, and I try to get you to settle it yourself. That way we eliminate regret. We come to some type of understanding, and I facilitate that. With every case, I offer a settlement conference, whether you're represented by an attorney or not. Do I feel bad sometimes at the result? I deal with money. So when you enter a judgment against someone, you always feel bad because now they owe money. But I don't regret it because I know I'm applying the law properly.
Thank you. Okay. The last person to answer this question will be Judge Curry.
Thank you. I also do not regret any action I've taken as a judge or any decision I've made. But I certainly mirror all of the other statements made by my colleagues here about the challenges of being a judge. And sometimes decisions are hard. And when I say hard, hard on the litigants. And sometimes the law is not developed in a way that allows for certain nuances to be accommodated. But a judge must follow the law, and the litigants have to understand that. So what we try to do is try to educate the public, educate people who come into our courtroom so that they at least feel they've been heard. And I try to give everyone a hearing, a fair hearing.
Thank you. The next question, and this question will begin with Judge Loza, is what are your views on whether the court system as a whole deals effectively with racial and gender issues?
Well, this is a topic that, of course, is very germane to today. It is something that we in domestic relations take very seriously. When I was supervising judge of parentage, we had an overwhelming Black and brown community of litigants. I think that we go out of our way. We are very active in the community, in the African community, in the African American community, in the Latino community, and we do everything we can to make sure we have absolutely no bias whatsoever in our decisions.
Thank you. The next person to answer this question will be Judge Pazonka.
Yes, as far as the judiciary with this issue, Judge Evans has really come a long way by having a lot of different diverse judges on the bench. I think that's really important because the different diverse judges bring their different sensitivities and community issues to the bench, and just bringing that experience and knowing how to address these issues is important for the bench.
Thank you. The next person up is Judge Alegretti.
Well, I think as a judge, the first thing you have to do with everyone is develop trust. And I think Judge Loza hit on that. How do you develop trust? You develop trust by being part of the community. When we step off the bench, these judges, I can attest to you here today, they volunteer. We volunteer for countless community activities and services. That's what we do on our weekends. That's what I do on my free time. I have 2 children, but I spend a good portion of my time to develop a trust with all parts of our community. And I think that's how the court gains legitimacy and handles issues like this.
Thank you. Our next speaker will be Judge Curry.
I think the question is, how is our court doing? I give our court a high rating. And unfortunately, I think the public is not really attuned to how hands-on the Circuit Court of Cook County is on diversity issues, on racial issues. As has been stated, we have an extremely diverse bench. We have diverse personnel. We are always constantly working through conferences and committees on how we can be more sensitive to these issues, eliminate racism, and promote diversity in our county and our communities.
Thank you. Our last speaker to this question will be Judge Goldish.
And again, I'm echoing a lot of what my colleagues have said. In domestic violence, it is a crime that does not discriminate. So everyone from everyone community comes in front of me. I have made it a point to educate myself about people from different backgrounds and different communities, because I think it makes for more empathetic and reasoned decisions. And I think, again, it shows that the court system should not be denied to one community. The other thing that I think should be brought out is the fact that the court system, I do stress that the need to encourage diversity in the legal profession.
Thank you so much. We have one final question for tonight, and we will start with Judge Pazonka. The question is, what injustices have you personally witnessed inside or outside of the courtroom, and how have you handled it?
Okay. Injustice in a sense that I had a DUI trial once where I presided over, and the officers ganged up on, well, I don't want to use the word ganged up, but the officers were not treating the defendant in a equal manner to other defendants, I believe. They were disturbing him in his field tests, and I just had to look at the facts, look at the video, and I had to really evaluate whether the defendant was being treated similarly to other defendants in the same situation, and I had to make a decision on the case.
Thank you. The next person to answer will be Judge Alegretti.
I think we see injustices all the time, but I'm going to give you a specific example of when I was in traffic court when I first started. Now I'm a new judge, and you're learning a lot. And I had an individual defendant approach the courtroom, a crowded courtroom, and started yelling out things against my court interpreter related to his sexual orientation. They were vulgar, they were nasty, they were heard by both me and the rest of the courtroom. So I know my time's up, but how you handle that is you end it right then and there. I didn't hold him in contempt, but he had to apologize to everyone in the courtroom, including me, the judge. So
Okay.
You don't accept it. That's how you handle it. It's not allowed.
Thank you so much. Judge Curry, if you would please answer.
Surely, when I was first assigned to do mortgage foreclosures, it looked like the bank attorneys, which were foreclosing on folks' homes, taking homes away because people couldn't pay their mortgage, were really trying to take advantage of their knowledge of the law and the inability of folks who didn't have lawyers to properly represent themselves. I caught on to that very quickly, and I made sure that the bank attorneys always explained their position. I wouldn't let them railroad the defendants at all. I made sure the defendants had plenty of time to get consultation, if not attorney support in defending in their cases. And for that reason, I think I prevented some gross injustice in my courtroom at that time.
Thank you. Okay, our last, two more speakers for this. Judge Goldish, you are up.
I can think of a few times where I've had, it was a female victim sitting by herself on one side of the courtroom, and a male defendant and his entire family making comments, etc., towards the female victim. And in certain communities, there's certainly disparity in status, and I made a point of putting a stop to that. There's safe room in my court room. I put the victim there. I made sure an advocate was called, and I made it very clear to anybody who was going to act out like that, they will be held in contempt, that that's not acceptable in my courtroom.
Thank you. Our last speaker for this particular question will be Judge Loza.
Thank you very much. I start every call, my call every day with the same phrase. I welcome everybody, and I tell them that you will be treated with complete equity and honesty and justice, and I expect you will in turn give us the same respect. And I think that works well to set the tone. Everybody knows then what I expect and how they should act. And I think it's really helped. I don't get any more wisecracks. I don't put up with it. I've had people act inappropriately, and I have held them in contempt of court and taken them away in the middle of court. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you to all of our speakers. That was our last question. I am going to pass it back to Mrs. Graham, and thank you so much for the evening.
Thank you to everybody who has come today. We'll ask everyone to go back off camera except for our ASL interpreter. I'm going to share my screen quickly. The reason is I want you to see an amazing tool that we have for you. And that is not that. This particular item here, hopefully you can see on your screen, is our, if you go to www.lwvah.org, I put that in the chat, there's a button that says, how do I plan my ballot? And it's going to take you right here. You put in your address, and then you hit research my ballot, and it will take you to everything that is on your particular ballot. So you can go to the US Senate race, you can hit one of the candidates, find out more about them, their education, their experience, the same with state candidates, find out something about them, and then you can even put it, save it to your ballot. But here is the thing for what we've talked about today, and that is the judicial candidates. So what it will tell you is, so on some of these vacancies down here, so here was Mr. Alegretti, who we really appreciate coming today, and it will tell you he's got 11 recommended. Nobody didn't recommend him, and these are all of the bar associations that recommended him. So this is a very helpful tool. It also gives you education, everything, and again, we encourage you, look at all these judges, you've got to scroll down. Make sure you get to this final piece, which is your contested election. But please vote for all of the judges. So again, I will put that into our chat. And now I'm going to ask Maya to come back on, and she will finish us out.
All right, thank you. A big thank you to Lucy for being our moderator, and please make sure to register to vote, make your plan to vote, and then make sure your voice is counted this election. Need help? League of Women Voters Arlington Heights, Mount Prospect, Buffalo Grove is here to help. Check out our website at www.LWV-AH for everything you need to know in this election and every election. And for any of you looking to support this year's election to make sure it's safe, secure, and accessible for all, we even have a link where you can sign up to be a poll worker and even earn a little extra cash. Students, it's a day off of school. Again, check us out at www.lwvah.org and follow us on social media at Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. We even have accounts specifically for youth at student.lwvah and a mascot at Pause for Votes. And make sure once you're ready to vote, you tell 10 friends where they can find all the information they need to be counted. www.lwvah.org. We are grateful to all of you for joining us and to our candidates. Our democracy relies on citizens willing to run for office. To our ASL interpreter, Patty Shore-Caden, and to all of our volunteers of our league and the NWSBA who worked tirelessly to bring you this free program. Have a great day. Thank you.